Joining us now is Ojinika Okpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Jinx.
I don't know when you get
the
to
lady
say
in black.
Ojinika. Yes, I'm wearing black. You're doing well.
Mr. Macaroni's voice.
The man in the gray suit. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Good morning, Tundra Biola.
Good morning, OJ.
I know what this is. Burnt orange.
After we announced it earlier at the beginning of the program.
Everybody's coming for your diploma. Rufai and OJ want to get your diploma, doctor.
You caught me there. Good morning, Rufai. How are you?
Looking flawless as always.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Well, good morning to you viewers. Let's begin what's trending. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, on Wednesday said Twitter operations remain suspended in Nigeria because the social media giant has not met all the conditions given by the federal government. Lai Mohammed gave the explanation in France while answering questions from stakeholders and participants at the Nigeria International Partnership Forum in Paris. The minister said although Twitter has met 10 out of the 12 conditions given to it by the government, discussions are still in progress to resolve the rest. The minister also refuted claims that Twitter was suspended in Nigeria because it deleted a tweet by President Muhammadu Buhari. Well, in the meantime, the governor of Kaduna State, Nasser El-Rufai, has come under fire on social media after posting a tweet on Wednesday despite the Twitter suspension. The governor, whose last tweet was on June 6th, a day after the Nigerian government suspended the activities of Twitter, while responding to a tweet, revealed that he was out of the country. The tweet garnered several reactions. Let's take a tweet from NSAS campaigner, Rinu Oduola. Well, she wrote, "The only place you get freedom of speech is outside Nigeria." Well, in response, the governor wrote, "Wrong at Savvy Rinu. Conflating Twitter with freedom of speech is a significant exaggeration. Freedoms of many descriptions existed before and without Twitter and will remain long after." Well, enjoy your day. Rufai, your take on the story.
At first, let's not deceive ourselves. We're out there trying to pitch to the world. Investors come to Nigeria. And Twitter is still banned. I mean, I forgot this part of it anyway. And we're going one step further to say, it's not because of what happened. That's why Twitter was banned. Anyway, I think it's because of what happened. The president's speech was deleted. Social media have the right to delete people's speeches based on their community rules. It happened recently. One of Abiy Ahmed's messages he put out was removed by Facebook in Ethiopia. And the next thing, we keep saying, this will be lifted in a while. We've been talking to Twitter. We deceive ourselves too much in this country. The president's speech, 2 months now down the line, right, Tundu?
Well, October 1st.
October 1st. We will lift the ban unconditionally. We thought next day was going to be lifted. How many months down the line now? A month and a half. My thought on this is, go and be enjoying your Twitter. We don't even need it again. Because I've gotten to a point. No, I don't even use VPN. No. We have gotten to a point, or maybe I use it once in a while. We've gotten to a point where, it's somehow, because I don't see the reason why you're banning. I don't see. You keep talking about investment. We have put out the numbers. Does Twitter make 1 billion that will pay taxes? No. In fact, it has created a platform that helps businesses. If you want money, you could say, Facebook makes a lot of money from advertising revenue. Has Coup come to register? So it's just double standards. That's what I see, and that's why for me it's not making sense. Has Coup done all the registration? Let me see the tax filing for Coup in Nigeria. Because if you say the sticking point is taxes, you need to invest more here and all of that, has Coup done the same? No, so just continue. I mean, life moved on without Twitter. We thought Twitter would leave. And when people are abroad, they will tweet. I mean, El Rufai is already tweeting from abroad.
Yeah, that's the next question. Well, what do you make of Governor El Rufai's tweet?
Well, I just wanted to say that on October 1st, I did say nowhere in the president's speech did he say he has lifted that ban. He said it was conditional.
Yeah.
And it's one of those cases where I did not want to be right, but 5 weeks later.
You are right.
Yeah.
Very right.
You know, you want to be wrong in that one, but hey. But yes, I just feel that this is one of those times where our politicians, our leaders, are out of touch and not feeling the pain nor the pulse of the people that they're leading. Not every Nigerian can just nip abroad for a little jaunt somewhere for a few days and be able to tweet. People whose businesses have been wrecked, yes. Even their leisure. Some people just use Twitter to have a laugh, and that too is legitimate. They don't have that option. If you don't use a VPN, that's it. And on even the use of VPN, why are obstacles constantly being placed in the way of your average Nigerian? We're always finding ways around something, over something, or you try and slide under it, but there's always something blocking you. It's really unfair. And to the point that you made about Abiy Ahmed, yeah, he said, we will bury you. And Facebook removed his, sounding like Nikita Khrushchev.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Facebook removed that message. But when Ethiopia curtailed, they didn't even ban it. When they curtailed certain social media platforms, it was to do with exam malpractice. Some people were posting exam questions, but not to do with protecting Abiy Ahmed. They let Facebook have their say because it is their platform. So that is also regrettable. And also that comment that Reno made to the governor as well about wherever you are, there are no bandits. I'm sorry, that's valid because he gets to have a little temporary reprieve. People in the Northwest, Northeast have to deal with these bandits turned terrorists, and they don't get a moment's respite from that. So really, yeah, I don't think El Rufai should have sent any tweet abroad, whether he was in England, whether he was in America, whether he was on Mars.
It's not the first time.
The government under which you serve has bandits, much to the inconvenience of the people.
I think it's disrespectful. Dr.
Okay, a number of clarifications. One, the Nigerian government did not use the word ban, it said suspended. But you can raise the question to say, for how long would this suspension last? And what the federal government did was to set up a committee to meet with representatives of Twitter. Now, that suspension occurred in June. So many months down the line, the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, tells us that the negotiations are still continuing. Twitter has met 10 out of 12 conditions given by the Nigerian government. However, it did not disclose those two conditions that Twitter has not met, because we would like to know. It's not enough to just give a promise. So people will be skeptical and assume that this suspension may well be an attempt to translate it into a ban. Now, it's not true that the president said the suspension will be lifted unconditionally. What he said is that he had given approval for conditional lifting. And so in that regard, what Minister Mohammed said in Paris is consistent with what the president has said in October. But again, that approval, for how long will it be in place? And what will happen if Twitter refuses to meet those two outstanding conditions that we're talking about? Yes, I mean, given the, the force, the impact of the Twitter microblogging, platform, many Nigerians are bound to feel, bad, feel emotional about it, because apart from interaction, people also use it to promote businesses, to express themselves. And so, that's understandable. And we will have expected that, whatever conditions have been given will have been treated, with a sense of urgency, given the amount of losses, either in terms of mental health or restriction of the scope of human interaction, or even the freedom of expression. Now, to come to Nasir Rufai, well, I mean, if I were in his shoes, I probably would have done the same thing. After the suspension in June, we were told that he did not tweet anything. Up to this point, when he traveled, and a certain gentleman called the Mighty Angel, tweeting from a handle called the Mighty Angel, then praised him for his achievements as Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, and how, since he left as the FCT Minister, no other, federal government, has been able to appoint somebody with his level of dynamism. That's the Mighty Angel's, opinion. And then El Rufai, responded. And then there was this pushback from Reno, and then one particular fellow called at Ugbuenubu, tweeting from at Ugbuenubu, who accused him of moral hypocrisy and lack of integrity, and even used a strong word such as shamelessness. Well, this suspension is inside Nigeria. If I were a public official too, and I get a chance since June to use Twitter, maybe from Paris or elsewhere, don't let us be hypocritical about this. I mean, Nasir Rufai will probably have contacts abroad. He probably used Twitter abroad to facilitate interaction at whatever event he's attending. But he would have been guilty of hypocrisy if he was using Twitter inside Nigeria, and if he was using VPN. And he clarified it and said he wasn't using VPN, but he had the opportunity to go abroad. The Nigerian government has no powers to say that if you are in another part of the world and you are a Nigerian, you cannot use whatever platform is available to you to express yourself. The fact that a man is governor does not derogate from his own fundamental rights as a person. That's my view on this.
No, all right.
I wanted to ask, what was not true? That I missed that reference.
No, I was saying the president did not say that Twitter suspension will be lifted unconditionally.
He never did.
No, you didn't say so.
Yeah.
It was Rufai that said so, and I just thought we should clarify that. Right. And they didn't use the word ban. They said suspension.
But okay.
Yeah.
I'll move off that. No time
for suspension.
I don't want to give. I have a lot of reporters to give as regards that, but I don't want to.
Are you saying unconditionally that the president said so? The president never said so.
But Dr. Bati, let's remember that we're both on this panel.
Yeah.
That day when the president made that speech.
Yes.
And Tunu and I deliberately pointed out that nothing will be done. And he said, and you even gave a timeline.
I didn't give a timeline.
No, you even said 2-3 days, something will be done. That once the president has said it now, people
Look, I've been in government.
Action.
I know how it works, and I have, my own expectations. That once the president speaks, we expect that there will be a follow-through in terms of what the president has said. That the president of Nigeria should not speak in vain, right? Okay. And that I would have expected that once the president has spoken, that the negotiations had reached a certain point for the president of Nigeria to come forward. So if weeks after the president spoke, then something is wrong there.
All right, then we'll take another story. Loyalists of Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, and members of One Nigeria group locked hands at the Abuja Federal High Court on Wednesday. The two groups clashed during their respective demonstrations at the resumed trial of the IPOB leader, who is facing charges bordering on terrorism and treasonable felony. While Kanu's loyalists protested against the restriction of his supporters and lawyers from entering the court, members of the pro-Nigeria movement made a case for the country's unity. Let's take a look. Outside the courtroom, Bruce Fein, an American lawyer representing Nnamdi Kanu in the United States, expressed frustration over alleged violation of his client's rights.
Nnamdi has been denied his right to counsel under the Nigerian Constitution, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, clearly requiring that he be released immediately. He's currently being punished. He's never had a hearing. He's been charged with actions that don't even make a crime. And he's 6 months at least in solitary confinement without access to medical care. This is a punishment before trial.
I believe he also said it was the 5th time he was denied access into the courtroom. This is Bruce Fein, Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer. But it almost looks like some sort of movie going on right now outside the courtroom. It's just really unbelievable, the racket going on there. Why are they not allowing lawyers into the courtroom? There is enough space for them to allow these lawyers into the courtroom. Dr. Bati.
Well, we took this subject before, and we said that, look, there have been cases in the past whereby, the presiding judge would say, look, I do not want to allow this category of persons in court for whatever reasons. It's within the discretion of the presiding judge. But what makes this, significant and noteworthy is that, look, the lead counsel for Nnamdi Kanu, Fein had made it very clear to the court that Bruce Fein, the lawyer to his, client, was being prevented from entering the court. And immediately Nnamdi Kanu got into the court, he also raised an objection and pointed out that, look, Bruce Fein is handling a case for him in the United States, and that, he wants to observe proceedings here, and, it's within his rights to have his lawyer to be part of the procedure. Well, at that point, when it looked like the court was not going to accede to that, Fein and the other counsel for Nnamdi Kanu staged a walkout. And at that point, there was the intervention by counsel to federal government of Nigeria that the case the pending application that was to be considered should be dismissed. And the presiding judge, Justice Binta Nyako, said no, it will not be dismissed. And then she proceeded to, adjourn the case to January 19, which is something that some people are concerned about, that, okay, if this case is going on and on and on, will it not amount to an attempt, to abridge, one, the rights of the accused person to fair hearing, and also, second, will it also not be an attempt to violate a part of Section 36 of the 1999 Constitution, which says expressly that an accused person is entitled to a lawyer of his own choice. And I guess that was the point that was being pushed by counsel to Nnamdi Kanu and he himself, in the court on that day. But the bigger drama was outside the courtroom. Yeah. Increasingly, whether it is protest against police brutality or not, you see that you will have on one side a group of protesters, and some political engineers have perfected the art now of deploying pro-government, pro-Nigeria, supporters.
Did you see that coffin?
Yes, where they call themselves One Nigeria Group. Yeah. The supporters of Nnamdi Kanu outside the court were singing his praise, and then this One Nigeria Group also came. But perhaps because of the presence of the security agencies, it didn't degenerate into fisticuffs, which could have been, the very ugly part of it. However, it's interesting to note that in the conversation that Christian Ogodo had with Abubakar Malami, the question was raised whether there will be the possibility of a political solution to some of these issues, including this particular case. And the Attorney General did not rule it out. But he also said, of course, that nobody has made any approach in that direction. But what is clear is that this is is beginning to look like a political trial. With this drama, don't be surprised if in January, absolutely, these two groups again go to the court to politicize the trial.
Another.
I was going to raise the point that you just raised. It's actually on today's front cover of this day. Malami FG not ruling out political solution on Kanu Igboho. It's really up to the Attorney General of the Federation, if he so desires or if he's so convinced, to enter a plea of nolli prosecute and just, shelve this case and have a political solution, which I suspect might have to happen in the end, just for the sake of peace. Because what you have described as a movie, that's actually the correct word here. It looks very chaotic. And what people need to remember on both sides of the argument is that there's a human life, there's somebody who has never been in a more precarious situation than he is now. He's never been more vulnerable than he is now. He's going to be languishing in detention at least until January 19th, missing Christmas. I'm quite sentimental about Christmas with your family. He's going to miss that. There's a family who's concerned. It's just there's a lot at stake here, and I just really want cool heads to prevail, and I would vastly prefer a political solution to a legal one.
Very well said, Tundu Abiola.
That has always been on the table. Even when you look at the antecedents of cases like this, if you go back to the time of Asari Dokubo, you go back, to other people, things like this. But I think even apart from a political solution, let us ask ourselves very critical questions. Why are we having this increasingly in Nigeria? Why is it that we have people that always get the legitimacy to say they have been unfairly treated when we should have a fair, equitable system? Because you see, we keep talking about Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi Kanu is just a representation of the hurt and the marginalization. Do you know who will spring up next? 2-3 years ago, we didn't know who Sunday Igboho was our national consciousness. But now we know who he is. Prior to Nnamdi Kanu, we had a Ralph Wazirike. Prior to Ralph Wazirike, we had the Ken Saro-Wiwa that I think today makes it 26 years.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
That he was killed.
And people are asking for, you know,
Yesterday, November 10.
November 10 makes it 26 years.
Commemoration.
And the question you'll ask is, why is it that we keep having people come out? And that Ken Saro-Wiwa's case was dear to me because it was because of the injustice he saw in Ogoniland. That's why he decided to stop. I mean, he had no business doing it. He was a successful cinematographer, a movie producer, and series producer. But he left all of that behind and started pushing the cause of his people. So until we address all of that, the names might just change tomorrow. But that unfairness and that agitation will still remain.
Well said. Very well said, Rufai. We'll take another story. A video is showing a train on the Itakpe-Wari rail line stopping in the middle of nowhere to pick up traveling passengers in Delta State is making the rounds on social media. Well, in the video, the operators of the train were seen ushering the passengers into the train. Let's take a look.
Yes, this is Rome train station. The train has just arrived. This one is heading to Warri now. People are about to alight, and some of the passengers that are going to Warri are entering now. They want to go to Warri.
Let's go. Oh, Bafana. How about this? Oh, yeah, let's go. Come on, how far?
I am all right. Sorry, mate time. Remo say we don't try. Remo we pashi worry.
I'm sorry, Tundu Abiola. Nigeria is a movie. It's a complete movie. How is this possible? Look at your face. What were they doing? Like, it's like the bus stop, like a bus stop. You know, like, what do they call those?
Along.
Yes.
Is it along? I've not heard that. I've heard of Cabo. This is Cabo train.
We don't have the Molues anymore, do we? Do we have those anymore?
I don't remember. I remember Cabo from my childhood because somebody saw her driver with strangers in her car and she was like, you're using my Cabo. So I'll never forget that. So that's what this is that we're doing. Who are these people? They're Nigerians. The people making the stops are Nigerians.
Unacceptable.
Yeah, the people getting on the train are Nigerians. We have a problem, the whole society. It's not about, the government is a disaster. We have no sense of civic responsibility. Yes. We bang on about our rights, but not about our obligations. Yes. We have borrowed money to provide this infrastructure. And look at how it's been treated. And worse, beyond this, aren't rail lines been vandalized? Aren't they been blown up by terrorists now? Why are we like this? We need to investigate our problem as a people. Why do we do things like this that make no sense? Go to the nearest station and get on the train like a civilized human being. You stop the train in the middle of nowhere. They could be ambushed. Armed robbers, kidnappers. Terrorists could board that train.
No, they need to find the
cause
operators.
all kinds of mayhem. And another note I have to say, for heaven's sake, people should stop picking babies up with one arm. I saw that too. Oh, don't do that.
Dr. Bati.
Well, very quickly. This particular line, Itakpe to Warri, was inaugurated by President Muhammadu Buhari in September. One of the things that is out there is that many of these lines, train lines, they were commissioned without train stations being built. So in the haste to inaugurate many of these routes, the federal government went ahead. And that is why I think now that this video is out there, the Nigerian Railway Corporation needs to offer an explanation. What actually happened there because someone said he had Ole Tamina. But it comes across as if, this is some kind of Okada, some kind of Molue that stops at every point. So we will need that clarification because of the reasons you have identified, the security implications, and, the discomfort. Even, in civilized countries, you have proper train stations.
Very good. Rufai, a quick comment from you before we wrap up the show.
I mean, if you ask me, I won't go ask. That's my comment.
That's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Oji.
Sure.
Thank you very much.